Hello and welcome back, everybody. It's your one and only Crazy Tyler here, coming back at you with some Aztec Warriors Connected franchise mode here on Madden 24. In last episode, we faced and defeated the LA Rams 31-24 in close fashion. This episode is going to be a little bit different. We're going to be simulating week 7 all the way through week 9, and then we're going to pick it back up by week 10. I want to say thank you guys for watching these videos. I really appreciate it. Been putting a lot of work into these episodes and editing and doing all this types of stuff. So I want to say thank you guys for doing all that. Anyways, we're going to go through the weekly awards and we're going to go through some upgrading. And after that, we're going to simulate throughout the next several weeks. Bryce Hall coming off of a 2 interception, 1 touchdown. One of those were a pick 6 in that game against Stafford. Him and Cooper Kupp were lining up perfectly against each other, and it was a pretty good game, I think, for Bryce Hall, who needed that type of game. BJ Ojolari with the run stopper upgrade. We need some block shedding. He's kind of low on that, so that's going to help. Greg Dulcich. I've been saying his name wrong this whole time, so I want to apologize to everybody for calling him the wrong name. And Dante Stills with an upgrade. Get some more power rushing in there. Greedy Williams with an upgrade right here as well. Get to help his man coverage and probably a little bit of zone right here, as it shows right there. And then Quez Watkins, who has been very questionable off and on this season. He would not get open at times, even though with that top end speed. So we're looking to see if he can improve that on his game, for the further following weeks. Neville Gallimore's been kind of silent ever since we signed him. So right here, hopefully this will help get some more pass rushing in there for the D-line, because he's not really doing enough for us there. And then Denzel Mims, another guy that's kind of gone quiet over the last couple weeks of the season. After week 2, he just started getting silent more and more over time. So hopefully he takes the next step here in the following weeks. And Bryce Hall with an upgrade. We're going to get him slot archetype here, 3-man and 1 press. That should help him in his coverage ability a little bit. Need to work on zone next. These are the moves that's happened over the course of week 7. I'm not going to go over them all, but the biggest one was Commanders training for Jonathan Jones, and then Curtis Samuel getting traded to the Jets for a 3rd round pick. Very insane. So, and these are the rest of the moves that are happening. Nothing too crazy, but crazy enough in regardless. And here's some of the signings. Rosters being filled over time. And then Tariq Cohen, and Mark Gilbert. This is the one I really want to show everybody. Mark Gilbert and Tariq Cohen getting signed to the New England Patriots. Gilbert got released because he was not really that great this season. So hopefully he can get a rejuvenated season with the Patriots. Anyways, I want to show everyone the prospects for the defensive side this year. Byron Henley coming out of Stanford. Interesting build, 6'6", 280. Got Danny Davidson from Texas, about almost 300 pounds as well. It's more like a 3-4 type of DN class, it looks like here at left end. And then it stops right after Lamont Simmons. But Lamont Simmons I like from Florida State. He's been showing a lot of flashes over the last couple of years. But Byron Henley, let's just start off with him real quick. He is pretty great. 8 tackling so far, 6'6". He has about above average athleticism. He has great football IQ, and he can tackle, so which is really good. Danny Davidson, very strong guy at almost 300 pounds, another great power rusher with great football IQ. Larry Morse, more on the run-stopping side. He is not that fast, but he is really strong, and you're kind of looking at like a Akeem Hicks type of comparison, like a smaller build of Akeem Hicks. And then Lamont Simmons, this man is pretty phenomenal in my opinion. I like him a whole lot. Good to great speed, great to elite strength, good to great acceleration. I mean, football IQ ain't as better as the other guys are, but he can get to the quarterback at almost 300 pounds, which is surprising. And then you got more of your 4-3 DNs, starting with Martin Burgess from Central Michigan. A finesse, B power, A tackling. This guy is a freak from Central Michigan. I mean, look right there. I mean, he's an elite pass rusher. He's been dominating. He's only a 2-year starter for Central Michigan, but he has been dominant with back-to-back double-digit sack seasons. Then you got Damon Price from Missouri. He is pretty fast as well. He's a little bit more stronger than Burgess, and his run-stopping ability ain't as great, but regardless, he is really good. And then you got Desmond Good here from Iowa. Very great power rusher. The other guys were more like complete edge rushers, while you got Desmond Good, who's more of a power rusher than a finesse rusher. He's pretty decent. And then you got the freak from Ole Miss, go Rebels, 6'7", 286 pounds, and he just turned 20 years old just this month. And he's been very, very dominant for Ole Miss. Now, he ain't as finesse, but with that C finesse moves is pretty intriguing. But he's been kind of an injury prone lately since he's very tall, and with his build, he has been having knee problems, so it's been a kind of big concern for him. But the upside's there. Then you got your 3-4 DN and Baston, who is very strong. He can tackle. We don't know what his pass rushing moves are, but I heard he's pretty good in the run stopping game. And then you got some good edge rushers down the board over here, but then it drops down quickly after that. And then we'll show over on the left side as well. You got Kevin Fox, who I kind of like from UCLA. And then you got Luke Verne from NC State. But it drops off pretty big after round 2. Then on the defensive tackles, Melvin Driver, who I think this defensive tackle class is by far one of the best. I mean, look at this. Melvin Driver is great to elite in almost everything. Getting off on the ball is a little bit of a weakness, but he can work on that. He's a great defensive lineman there. Sterling Green is more your run stopper, but he is also great as a athlete. I mean, this is a really athletic top-end defensive tackle class, because you're looking at the first 2 to 3 rounds, most likely the first 2 rounds. And Carlos Curtis, I like him a whole lot. Now, we don't know much about him, but I like him a whole lot from LSU. And then you got Charles Porter, who's more your nose tackle over in Alabama, kind of like a Deron Payne type of player, maybe a little bit lower than that, but he can stop the run pretty well with almost 340 pounds of mass on him. Then you got Taj Coleman, Jared Lamb. You got some guys down the board over here that are looking okay, but the drop off is pretty significant after round 2. The 3, you know. Then let's look at the linebackers here. Ron Allen from Oklahoma State, just like his colleague on the defensive tackle side. He is pretty great as well. Not the best athlete, but he decent edge rusher, more on the power side, if I have to say. Dante Merritt, who is also kind of, I think, a power rusher. Then you got Darrell Claxton, and Cassius Hazelwood. Keontae Harris is more of your 4-3 linebacker. I don't know why I didn't show the other guys, but this is why I'm showing Keontae Harris. He is great to elite in everything, and I don't know why he's projected rounds 3 to 4. I think it's probably his school. It's Georgia Tech. But regardless, he is a really good linebacker. Same thing with Jose Wilder. I like him. I don't know why I skipped over the middle linebacker, so I want to apologize. Probably because of Dalton Bowden here. He is a pretty significant player. He's more your hybrid edge rusher. He can play off-ball, on-ball linebacker from Notre Dame, but he's more towards the edge rushing type of side. Then you got Larry Irvin, who's 20 years old at 6'2", 230 pounds. 20 years old. He is phenomenal. Like, he's your great off-ball linebacker. If you need an off-ball linebacker in the first round or two, he's your guy. And he's been dominant for Alabama for like the last 2 years. And after that, it's kind of dull when you go down the board here. I mean, I don't got much information on a lot of these guys, but what's crazy is this cornerback class. You got a white guy here, Tim Arnold, who is great to elite in almost everything. This is a very athletic draft class. I mean, from top to bottom. I mean, you got cornerback Tim Arnold here, who looks like he's more of your zone coverage linebacker. He's from Buffalo. Then you got Anthony Patton, who's also really good. He has great hands, great speed, off the ball. I mean, he looks like he's more your man coverage guy. I don't know, his press might not be as good, but he's pretty good. Dwayne Dickerson from Utah. He is pretty good. He's more your like slot corner hybrid player. He could probably play some safety. He's played safety. He's played almost any defensive back position you can think of there in Utah. Then you got Jaquan Freeman from Texas, who is an amazing zone coverage corner. Another guy that used to play safety and corner, but here in the NFL, he would probably fit more better as a slot corner, maybe a safety. But at 6'3", you never know. You can develop him pretty well. Then you got Isaiah Clay, who's more your man coverage corner from Toledo here in around the second and third round. Then you start looking down over here. You got some decent athletes, but nothing like that wows me too much down the board. One guy is keeping my eye on is Kirk Pryor from Virginia. And then the next guy is Theo Daniels and Stephon Gregory. Theo Daniels with A press coverage got my attention on day 3 out of all places from Washington State. But after that, it's kind of like you have to do your homework more on these guys. And then at safety, it looks like kind of, at least free safety is kind of weak. I'm not going to go fully over on these guys because I want to get through the video a little bit, but strong safety is probably the most strongest out of the whole safety group. You got Mark Ryan, who's more like a linebacker type of safety. You got Terrell Weber, and who's pretty decent for Georgia. Bobby Lanning from Missouri is pretty much a decent like hybrid corner safety guy. And TJ Jackson is a pretty like all-round great safety from the Ohio State Buckeyes. Then in mock draft 2, got Melvin Driver going number 1 to the Baltimore Ravens. Damon Price, Byron Henry. I mean, you're looking at the trenches for the first 4 picks in the draft. Then you got Victor Reed from Alabama going to the Patriots. I mean, they probably do need one since Mac Jones ain't really performing well. Tim Arnold at 6 is pretty good. I expect him to go a little bit higher than 6. Adrian Mulligan. I mean, tackles in this draft and offensive line is pretty weak this year. It's a really top-heavy draft for offensive line. And George Rowe. I was wanting to talk to you guys about George Rowe. He's very good. Now they have Tosh McMillan, having him come to us. This is a very interesting pick. Now we got more information on him, and he looks like a beast. He has A power moves, C finesse moves. The injury is a concern, but it might be worth it at this pick if we still have pick 14. And then you got Floyd Smith, who I'm a decent fan of, but you know, there's more talent down the board. Then you have Chris Knox falling down to 18, which is really interesting. But then you got Norman Norris falling to us at pick 20, who's a top 5 projected pick. That is very insane. I mean, he's a great athlete, and this is what we got on him. He A to B under pressure. I mean, the injury is a concern, but he's a scrambling archetype quarterback. We have to kind of keep an eye on him. But then you got Nick Shipley, who also fell down to his hometown of Seattle Seahawks from Washington, from UW. I mean, he's also great. Look at this. He has better deep accuracy. He's also, I think he's a little bit better than Norman Norris, in my opinion. If I had to choose between the two, I would go Nick Shipley because he looks like more of a complete player than Norris. But regardless, it's insane. All these quarterbacks are falling down the draft. Robert Richards at 25 makes some sense. And then you got Jalen Sellers, first running back here, and Jalen Buckner to the Vikings, which these two are really great running backs who should be taken in the first round. Jason Hall creeping in at pick 30 for the Rams is also insane to see. I don't know if the Rams might take one, but we'll see about that. But for our sake of the team, those are not bad mocked players to us. But I like everybody in the first round, so it's BPA for this Aztec Warriors team. And speaking of the team, our defense was dead last in defense, and we had to make a move. Some of it can be placed the blame on the head coach, but our defensive coordinator, we have to release and let go John Grant. We can stop the run, but we need to focus more on coverage. John Grant really doesn't fully focus on that, really, and I wanted to hire a coach that has more of a coverage ability than a defense run stopping ability. Now, James Bates, we're gonna hire him. He has the best skill set out of all of them. He still focuses on stopping the run for the defensive line, but he focuses more on coverage for the defensive backs and the linebackers, the interior linebackers rather. And you can look, he has really good skills that we really need on this team desperately. And yeah, anyways, we're going to simulate this week and hopefully we beat the Seattle Seahawks here at Lumen Field in Seattle. And unfortunately, it looks like Seattle beat us 31-13. I don't know what the heck happened. Even with our new defensive coordinator, we lost and gave up 31 points to the Seahawks. So we're going to have to look at that here shortly. But first and foremost, let's see what type of upgrades we got. And we're going to upgrade Paris Johnson here. We're going to give him a little bit of power. He needs to be more well-rounded, so that way he gets prepared for all types of pass rushers on the edge. And he has 1 run blocking and 3 run block power. Now, that's not for the pass game, but for the run game, that's really beneficial. Ben DiNucci gets an upgrade, and I I have a feeling he is one of the reasons why we lost that game. So let's take a look and see what that has to show. And it shows right here, Geno Smith got picked off once, but he threw 2 touchdowns. And Danusi, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and got sacked 2 times. He threw a 52-yarder, but I don't care. He threw 2 interceptions in that game, and it's starting to look like the pressure is starting to get on him a little bit more. And DJ Dallas, 25 carries for 95 yards against, and then their fullback / tight end Keithan Carter ran for 29 yards on us. And Danusi ran 25 yards, while Robinson and Reed combined of 16 yards. At least Jalen Tolbert caught 170 yards and a touchdown. That's a great game from him. And Quez Watkins got on the field some way with 40 yards and a touchdown. Elijah Higgins was pretty silent in the game, and everyone else with him. I mean, this team didn't click and was off guard. Got thrown off guard against the Seahawks now. And then on defense, Gallimore at least stopped the run a little bit, but wasn't enough to stop DJ Dallas. And White with a sack and a half, and Greedy Williams with an interception. This is an odd game for both sides of the ball for the Aztec Warriors. I'm very surprised. At least our defense held up enough against Geno, but it wasn't enough to stop the Seahawks. Anyways, we're in week 8. We have to focus on Lamar Jackson and this whole Baltimore Ravens team. They're 2-5. So we're going to have to focus on what Lamar's going to be doing. He's a quarterback first, obviously, so we're going to have to try to limit his passing. And hopefully we can stop him there and still focus on keeping him contained as a running threat. And it looks like we're going to get 3-man and 3-zone against Lamar in their offense. So hopefully that makes a big difference for us in this game. And then the forecast is showing heavy rain. Even though we're not going to be playing this game, we're going to be simulating it. But the rain is going to create a big factor for us. And we got to run the ball, I believe. Because Danusi, I can't trust him. He threw 2 interceptions last game, and that's too many. So hopefully running the ball with Robinson and Reed can help do that. So we have to run about 150 yards against their defense, which is not going to be an easy task. And I wanted to show you guys this. Riley Moss with a speed upgrade, 3 press coverage. This is a very good upgrade for him since his press coverage is very low, and his speed, he just gets even faster. And then Matt Landers with an upgrade here. We're going to try to focus on, I think, deep threat a little bit here, and that's correct. Get him a little bit up there for his route, for his route running, to round it up. And Elijah Higgins, he should be getting a ratings upgrade if he keeps his production up this year, which it's kind of been halted since that injury. Ever since that injury happened, he hasn't been the same. Anyways, we're going to simulate this week against the Baltimore Ravens, and hopefully we get a win against them. And it looks like we took an L, 28-7. I don't know what happened. Let's take a look at the rain game here. And I guess the conditions really affected our team. Now we have 3- run blocking. I think that was power and finesse. That's not good for our offensive line. And then at least 5- play rec. That's not good either. That's just, yeah. And Danusi, what in the world's happening with him? No touchdowns, 1 interception, and they ran the ball down our throat this whole game. Like, yeah, 1 sack or 2 sacks allowed, but doesn't matter. We threw an interception, got sacked. It's just, that's horrible. Anyways, Jalen Tolbert, he will get an upgrade here, get his physical up a little bit. His physicality needs to be improved a little bit, and it gets shown right there. Pretty good route running from him. Chase on, he's been kind of silent the last 2 games. It looks like, let's get his run stopping upgrade here with +3 block shedding. That will help him tremendously. And then JL Skinner, we're going to focus on hybrid here. Get him well rounded a little bit more. And now we're going to focus on Myles Garrett in this Cleveland Browns team. Now, we're going to have to try to stop Myles Garrett in this game, but we have to also stop Deshaun Watson. And I'm not talking about on the field, really. I'm more talking about stopping him going to our back room. Anyways, let's get into this. Yeah, our defense is still 32nd in the lead, and Danusi's not looking good. 14 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. He's making about 55% of his passes. And surprisingly, he's right behind James Robinson in yards rushing. Now, when you look at it right here, it's not that bad. Everyone's gaining targets on offense. It's just not enough, you know? Higgins is our lead receiver, and he's our tight end. So, I don't know what that's all about. And then Matt Landers, that's just what's weird. I was on the show. He only had 1 touchdown, even though in previous games, I think in one of the games, he had like multiple. I think he had like 2. But they only recorded 1, which I find very weird and confusing. So if anyone can help me there, see if I'm right or am I wrong, because I swear he had more than just 1. Jason leads the league with 6 sacks, with Stills with 4. Production for rushing has not been bad, but it's everything when it comes to both offense and defense. We're kind of taking a halt in production. I mean, we're racking up the numbers, but we're starting to stall a little bit. So we need to start picking it back up for this team. Because we're 18th in offense and like dead last in defense still. So we need to try to fix that as soon as possible. And then for the injury report, it looks like Kiki is still out for 1 week. And then when that happens, we're going to be making some moves for this Aztec Warriors team. Anyways, let's simulate against the Cleveland Browns and hope that we get a win against this Deshaun Watson creepy team. And unfortunately, the creepiness wins. 35-23. He took no for an answer, everybody. But at least we were able to kind of stop Garrett from dominating our team. We're going to choose the XP reward. Temporary boost would be nice, but the XP is way much more worth it. I mean, we need to develop these guys to be a lot better, so I find that a lot better than the temporary boost. But unfortunately, we couldn't stop Deshaun Watson. And yeah, I mean, we stopped him enough. We got 1 touchdown, but Danusi, 2 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. What is happening with Danusi? And he got sacked 3 times, and this offensive line is not helping him any matters. Nick Chubb with basically 100 yards, and Jamon Ford with like almost 40 and 3 touchdowns. I didn't see that before. And our lead receiver, Jalen Tolbert, did really well for us, again, coming in clutch. But other than that, everyone else was kind of silent. I don't know what's going on with this team. We got to find a way to fix it. Parrot Johnson with his first sack of the year. And Chase on, speaking of sacks, he gets a TFL. Gallimore with the TFL, and Chase on with the sack, and Stills with the sack. So at least our lead rushers in, Brady Breeze with another interception this year. He's been pretty impressive at the safety position. But I don't know what's going on with this team, guys. I mean, they're really off. Anyways, guys, that's going to wrap it up for this episode. If you enjoyed, make sure you smash the like button. Subscribe if you're new. And hopefully next episode, Danusi better show up, because if he doesn't, Clayton Toon or Max Duggan is going to get the start over him. But anyways, guys, I really appreciate you guys watching the video. And let me know down in the comments that you guys like this type of format. Me playing a couple games and simulating several games. I will really like you guys' feedback. But other than that, I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you guys for watching. I will catch you guys next time in Week 10 against the Atlanta Falcons. Krazy Tyler, logging out.